Well, so it's interesting because I just full transparency. I'm 54 years old. I'm postmenopausal. My kids are grown. My career's in a really beautiful place. I'm like you, just thinking up cool thoughts and writing books about them and having great conversations like this. So on paper, everything is beautiful. And yet there are moments where my brain kicks in and says, you're not safe. You should be doing more. Stop relaxing. Like right. I think it's an interesting piece for women because you get to this point where everything that got you to this level of life actually now has to be shed because it no longer serves you. And so I started I like to walk. I'm a walk and listen to podcasts is one of the things in nature. Will absolutely calm me. An art technique that if you don't know about, a friend taught me called neurographic art. Do you know about this? Martha, this will be right up your alley. So it's a friend showed me, you can go Google it on YouTube. She showed me how to do neurographic art, which is it looks like doodling, but the way you do it is you set an intention. And then you create draw a bunch of lines on a piece of paper. And then anywhere that two linear lines intersect, you have to curve them. And so that everything on the paper is curved because it looks like neurons in your brain.
Oh, cool.
And it relaxes you because it's like seeing like. It is the coolest. You can find it all over YouTube. Yeah. So I just started, I'm going to see if I have any.
Yeah,
I just started.
Hold it up.
Here, I'll show you.
Okay.
Here's one of my favorite.
Oh, wow. That's so cool. Did you do?
Yeah, I did this.
Oh my God.
I've never taken an art class in my life.
Wow.
But yeah, so this is why you're going to love it because it's all these curved lines. And then you color it in, and then these little white dots are prayer dots.
Oh my goodness.
So you set an intention, and then you do your lines, then you fix them so that none of them are linear, and then you color the inside. And when you're done, you put these dots in. Oh
my God, that is beautiful. And
I'll send
what
you
was
all
your
the
intention
information on it.
Mindy, what was your...
This one was one of the first ones I did. I did with a bunch of my fellow Hay House authors. We were at an event together, and so we did it. I think maybe I wrote it on the back. Ooh. Yeah, this one was geared towards body health and finding the next step for my healing my body.
Nice. That's beautiful.
So, yeah. So to your point that there was something that it took my thoughts to a place that stopped the looping. And I'm wondering, do we have like art movement? Sometimes I find conversations with healing people who have big hearts, doing things like this. Like I'm not anxious in this moment. Right. But then I can get off this moment and then the anxiety hits in.
Yeah. There are all kinds of things. And I love the work of a great psychiatrist and philosopher named Ian McGilchrist from Oxford. And he wrote this book called The Master and Its Emissary about how the whole culture that we've developed is dominated by functions that primarily occupy the left hemisphere of the brain. And yes, that's an oversimplification. The whole brain is working together all the time. But he says, we are actually building a society that is functioning like a person who has had a massive stroke on the right hemisphere and is losing that.
Ooh.
Whereas, on the other hand, people who have left hemisphere strokes are able to do creative, connected, artistic, inventive things like what you're talking about with the painting or even a conversation. So what he says, Ian McGilchrist says, the data collection part of the mind is not supposed to be in charge. It's supposed to work for the meaning maker, the context builder, the purpose finder. And that is what we light up when we start to draw, when we let ourselves be relaxed, when we're moving, when we're dancing. They found that older people who dance have more brain benefits than people who are playing tennis or golf because there's that liberation and expressiveness So anything
Yes.
that brings in all those right hemisphere functions, proprioception, color, light, taste, cooking, being with our people, guess what? This is the way people used to live.
Yes.
Cooking together, gardening, hunting, fishing, dancing, telling stories. We evolved to do these things. And when we start to do them, our whole brains light up. It's not like we shift to the right side of the brain. Our whole brains light up. If you read Jill
Amazing.
Bolte Taylor's Whole Brain Living,
Yeah.
you should have her on the show. She's amazing.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah. A Harvard neuroanatomist who had a massive left hemisphere stroke and came back to the world with this message, used the whole thing. And she's so great because she was at Harvard, but after her stroke and her recovery, now she called me from where she lives in the summer on a houseboat in the middle of a lake somewhere in the Midwest. Nobody knows where. And she was making sculptures and stained glass windows and doing science. So
oh my gosh.
Like that type of lifestyle is considered unusual to us.
Okay. Right.
But we need to light up our brains, our whole brains. And you just did it with that painting. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And I got it so addicted to it after somebody showed me how to do it that I was like, anytime that anxious brain kicked in, I just grabbed a pad of paper and I just started doing the processes that they taught me.
I had more.
Yeah, I have
more
around here. Yeah, I'll find. I have some more around here somewhere. I have one that I really want. Oh, here. Okay, this one, okay. Martha, you're gonna love this one. Okay.
Oh. Now, what's with the angular? It's like you've got both sides of the brain working here. Because there's angular stuff in black and white around the beautiful flowing color.
That's right. So this was actually supposed to represent thought. So the one side, here I have it upside down. So this side was my past self.
Uh-huh.
And then there was a piece in here. This was like something I was trying to manifest.
Wow.
And this was Surprise Me Universe. So when I did this one. And then, so if you take your past self, the Surprise Me Universe, and then the energy that comes off of that.
Oh my word.
So these were all just doodling lines. And then it's like taking all that energy into the future.
Wow.
And then these little structures are the negative thoughts that block you from manifesting your life.
That is so cool. They all look like little computers on stands too.
Yeah. Yeah. And then isn't that cool? That's why I'm like, I think you'll really love this. And I'm just a student of it. I don't teach it. A friend of mine's actually doing the whole course. Yeah. Well, I have a friend that's doing it. She's a 7 too. And so she's teaching the course. And so I just get to sometimes I like to just learn stuff. I don't want to be the teacher of it. So I like being the student.
Well, the whole point is, my goodness, we all, as soon as I see that, your creativity lights me up. My anxiety's gone. I'm drawn into your art and the explanation and the joy of it. And that's how we're supposed to live. And we can. We can. Yes. We just did it, you and me.
Right. That's so cool.
We started out with a list of things we had to talk about. The anxiogenic, we have to learn that word. We have to impress people. Oh, no. I want to do a doodle and just show each other colors. So that's better.
Well, actually, what we could have done is we could have both been painting and having a conversation.
Oh, hello.
And
let's see.
That is
in
also
my studio right now. Yep. These are all paintings that I've done. And
you did. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, there's the Buddha one I did when I was really anxious one time, but this is one of the forests.
Wow, look how beautiful your art is.
So I do more realistic. This one I hear is the place where I have to send my garbage out. Anyway, so I do more realistic art, but it doesn't matter. We are both sitting among things that we have done artistically.
Yeah.
And we artificially ignore them so that we can do the right kind of podcast.
Yeah. So true. It's so true. Oh my God, I love this. Because you know what it does is I hope conversations like this really give us permission to go back to that child spirit, you know? And I think, you know, you can look at someone like you and be like, well, you're a serious author. And here you are like doing things that, you know, serious authors might not show up to do. But how fun is this? And how fun is it to hear people having fun?
Yes. It's so bonding. It can get you past all kinds of divisions. It can get you past neuroses. It just sets you free in the field of creation. So that's the book I wrote talks about the creature being very scared. And then the creative is the artistic self. And if you start to live that way, how often do you paint?
Well, here's the thing. I should tell you daily because that's what I'd want to do, but I don't give myself permission to do it. I do it at the end of the day, like, oh, the work is over. Now I'm going to do this. So maybe a couple times a week.
Mindy, I wrote about my art month and how hard it was to stop. And I actually called a therapist and said, please help me stop painting. And she was like, why? I'm like, because I'm doing it all day and I've got real things to do. And she's like, well, full confession, I just started a painting class and I can't stop either. Then I send my manuscript in. It's like, oh, it was so hard to stop painting after that month. And she writes in the margin, why did you? And I was like, oh, I have to be a normal person. She's like, I don't get it. And so I talked to my family and I got official permission to get up every morning and paint and draw first. I get to do that until like 9 o'clock in the morning. I'll get up at 5. I paint for 4 hours. I'm such a happy girl. And I'm getting more real work done because I'm so full of joy. And so, maybe you should paint first and maybe you should paint.
I know. I'm going to. So then that actually brings me back to this idea of right brain, left brain.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing you say is that we are really working within this logical part of our brain. And the more we, what we know is whatever you use the most in your brain gets stronger and stronger and stronger.
Wires together. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then the creative side of the brain just starts to fall away. Yeah. And what you're talking about is by starting the day, by really nourishing that part of the brain, let you also be able to express words probably differently in your writing.
Absolutely. At first, it's so funny because after I've been painting, I'll try to do, I'll get on the phone with some business person and I'm like, big tree. I can't talk at all. It's really, really distressing. I have to go read poetry for a while to get going again. The right side of the brain will do poetry, songs, and jokes. So those are other ways. If you want to cross the boundary, go to poetry, songs, and jokes, and you'll be golden. But it really is amazing when you bring the whole brain to the table. It's so enriched by the pleasures and the joys of creativity. And it's not just three-dimensional art. It's music. It's, as I said, poetry. It's anything creative. It's building, it's cooking. It's building a swing set for your child. It's thinking of a conversation you could have later or calling someone and trying to cheer them up. There are all kinds of things that bring the whole brain into full use. And it does, those circuits that have withered, you can actually feel them reestablishing themselves. And it is magical.
Amazing.